Without further ado, I'm just going to kick off the program, and it's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Roberta Boscolo, Head of Climate and Energy Unit at the World Meteorological Organization, WMO, here with an important call of action, similar to what Anne just also shared, especially on the heels of the State of the Global Climate publication just yesterday. At WMO, Roberta's work is to enhance the capacity of countries to contrast climate change and enact sustainable development through science-based climate adaptation and mitigation measures, and especially in alignment with global landmark agreements. With a wide and deep knowledge of climate and sustainability-related issues, she manages a transformative interface between climate change and climate science and socioeconomic sectors, especially energy, through partnerships with UN agencies, private and public sector, academia, and more. She's also a member of the expert advisory panel of Earthshot Prize and a top voice of LinkedIn Green Economy. Roberta, thank you so much for being here with us. The floor is yours. We'll then also have a Q&A discussion after.
Thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to be here with this community, first time, and thank you for the invitation. And I really hope that I continue the call for action that was started with our speaker, our introductor before. And this moment is perfect for me to introduce the results, the outcome of our State of the Global Climate, which was launched 2 days ago during the World Meteorological Day on Monday, and this all new data, new results, updated to 2025, but the message keep being the same. Strong action is required. So I hope I can operate this, but I don't think so. Says next. Okay. So this is an annual report that WMO publish every year. And it look at different indicators. Each of these 7 indicators, although this year we actually added a new one. Each of these indicators is a compound, an integration of different effects, different contribution of the Earth system that together they are showing changes because of climate, because of the change of climate. Starting with the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, which is also the cause of the global warming. We see every year this concentration going up because of the emissions, but especially the CO2, for example, the carbon dioxide, is a very persistent greenhouse gas that stays in the atmosphere for a very long time. So it is kind of the most important one because it accumulates every year. And we can see from this curve that we always every year reach a new level. Methane and nitrous oxides are decaying much faster, but nevertheless they are also accumulated in the atmosphere. So we are increasing the emissions, and we reach level that we haven't seen it in the last 800,000 years. This is the cause of the increase of temperature. Sorry, I think, okay. So this is the cause of increase of temperature. Last year, we are looking at 9 data sets, different data sets, and you can see that the agreement of this data set is quite remarkable. We reached last year an increase of 1.43 degrees with respect to the baseline, which is the average of temperature before the Industrial Revolution. And of course, we are not close to 1.5. We are close to 1.5. We are not crossing 1.5. But last year, we did cross 1.5. The increase was 1.55 degree. And this is because last year was El Niño year, and El Niño has an effect on the global system that increased the temperature. Last year was, the 2025 was La Niña event, and of course the temperature cooled down a little bit, but still, nevertheless, even if we had a La Niña year, 2025 is among the second or the third hottest year on record, which means that the global warming effect is basically underneath all this natural variability like El Niño, La Niña. I mean, it's second and third, depending from the data set, but we are really getting closer and closer to the target, to cross the target of the Paris Agreement. And we can see here that the heat was very widespread all over the globe. Here is the anomaly of temperature in average over the year in 2025, and this anomaly with respect to the 30 years average, which goes from 1991 to 2020. So kind of a recent average, and we have the planet is heating. I mean, we can see it, and it is heating everywhere. Apart from a little spot in the Pacific, everywhere the temperature are increasing. And this is, and the reason why, I mean, I might go actually further. The reason why is heating is because we find that the Earth is in a big imbalance. A stable temperature is maintained when the incoming radiation from the sun are radiated back at the same quantity, at the same level outside in terms of temperature radiation. But because of this blanket that we have created through the emissions and the accumulation of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, in the very thin layer of the atmosphere, this radiation outside the globe are not happening or are reduced, and therefore there is an accumulation of heat. This heat then is absorbed by the ocean, 91% in the ocean, then melts ice and the cryosphere. It is also absorbed in the land, only 5%, and also remained in the atmosphere, 1%. But this is the imbalance that we see, and it is here we have measures since the beginning of 1960, and we have reached always a new high also in 2025. But apart from reaching every year a new height of this accumulation of heat, accumulation of energy in the the globe, in the planet, is also, we can see, accelerating, and it is shown in the recent records that we have measurements from satellite, for example, and also more observations. We are reducing the uncertainty, and we are seeing an acceleration in this imbalance of the planet imbalance. And as I said before, we have this excess of heat is absorbed by the cryosphere and the ice, and we have big changes in the glaciers. And of course, I can show you this graph, but maybe you also see it here in Switzerland. Every year we have a retreat of big glaciers, and some of them will soon disappear. And also we had events like landslides, and because of the destabilization of the glaciers are losing mass every year, but in the last year even more. We have record of negative mass balances all over the world. Switzerland, I would say, particularly affected by the global warming and the retreat of glaciers. The same is also happening in the Arctic and the Antarctic. The sea ice and the extent of the sea ice is declining, as we can see, in both poles because of the heat that is melting the ice. And a very important role is the ocean that absorb 90% of this heat. So what does it mean? The ocean is getting warmer, is trapping more heat, and because of this is also expanding because of physics, thermodynamics. And this is one element of a contribution of the sea level rise, as well as, of course, the melting of glaciers is also contributing at the sea level rise. And the sea level rise is increasing in the last 30 years. We have 10 centimeters increase of sea level, the mean global sea level. But what is really also worrying is that 50% of this change, of this increase, really happened in the last 30 years, which means we are accelerating, the sea level is accelerating and is rising, and of course all sort of effects also in the coastal areas that we can that we are witnessing. Each of these indicators have an effect on the Sustainable Development Goals, and is affecting the Sustainable Development Goals, especially for poverty and food availability, water, and also increasing inequality. We can see here in this graph how it is impacting the different sustainable agenda. And one of the big effects of the global warming is the increase in frequency and intensity of extreme events. In 2025, for example, we see that an increase of heat waves, events of heat waves are widespread and are increasing all over. Rain and wet spells, floods, drought, tropical cyclones, thunderstorms, and winds are all events that are increasing in frequency and intensity all over. Here is For example, precipitation is also, there is a big effect on precipitation, which doesn't show a trend. But what we can see is the areas are widespread with more droughts or more rain and really intense rainfall, which brings floods. So all these anomalies are covering the globe and is accelerating or disrupting the hydrological cycle. I would say that for every 1 degree increase of temperature of heat in the atmosphere holds 7% more of humidity. And that means that when it rains now, it can rain much more water and create floods and disruptions and disasters. Here is a snapshot of all the disaster that we had in 2025 all over the world, classified as tropical events or tropical storms, wildfires, heat waves, droughts, or flood events. Each of them associated with the loss of lives and also big economic losses. Climate risk, therefore, or extreme events and risks are operational risks for all of us, for our organizations. It disrupt supply chains, especially droughts and extreme floods, and sea level rise also affects ports and infrastructure. It's also put under stress our health systems, not only because, with the climate change, we have heat waves. Heat waves is a silent killer, really, and it's the one that is more affecting mortality all over the world, but also vector-borne disease as well that are modulated by the temperature. And when we have extreme events and this very high situation, health affecting situation, we have high demands and the facilities, the health facilities are under stress. Retreat of glaciers also is affecting water accessibilities and especially downstream, so that the community to the community downstream, so the glaciers, that's and the agriculture as well, so the food security. Extreme weather is the first driver also of displacement, because basically it compounds with other current crises, and so it is an amplifier of crisis and help and increase the displacement. As well, food security, droughts, and heat also, of course, also affecting operation and staff that has to work outside, for example, operation that has outside is affecting staff and workers. Just a little bit of digression. WMO is helping organizations, especially humanitarian organizations, to predict and to prepare for this kind of disruptions and extreme events. We have a hazard calendar that look at the past climate and prepare and provides some information of what are the seasons that we are expecting, more tropical cyclone, for example, or droughts. It provides weekly and tropical cyclones scans, updated every week, and also it provides briefings of climate prediction, seasonal forecast, decadal forecast, to prepare for the organization operations. And this is just a little bit of advertise of what WMO does and can help. So heading towards 3 degrees, we have here is some information from the UNEP emission gap report. We can see that emissions are still rising, and we are kind of hit the 57.7 gigaton of CO2 equivalent in 2024. And with the current policy, we just are decreasing a little bit the emission by 2035. This is the latest report. But you can see that there is still a big gap in reaching the 1.5 range. That is what we would like to stabilize the temperature at. The current, with the NDCs, the National Determined Contribution, we only can reduce a little bit of the emissions, by about 11%. But we still need to a big reduction of 42% by 2030 if we want to stabilize the temperature at 1.5. So there is still a big gap in order to stabilize the temperature. And if we look at the current trajectory, so with the current policy, we will project a temperature increase by the end of the century to 2.8 degrees. So heading to 3 degrees as the title of this event. And the cost of delays, of course, every year increase. And also the windows of our action is more dramatic and require more effort. So, and I'm finishing my intervention here. The big imperative is we need to halve our emission by 2030 for what I have said so far and for stabilizing the temperature. As I said, we are very close to the threshold, and every year of inaction will take us towards a 3 degrees increase in temperature and towards the extreme events, increase the risk, increase our vulnerability, increase our exposure to extreme events. Of course, increasing also the cascading of risks, floods, operations, food insecurity, as I said before, disruption of supply chain, stress of health systems, and every degree, every fraction of degree matters. Our responsibility, of course, is important because we are organization, we are well-respected, well-trusted organization, trusted voices for our population, for our communities, and if we start to do these actions, we probably be able to influence other actors and maybe create a domino effect, a ripple effect all over. So this is also our responsibility to act in our organization. And the solution exists, of course, and the Climate Action Accelerator is supporting organization in doing to decarbonize and also to increase the resilience of the organization. But meanwhile, while we are doing our bit to mitigate climate change and to reduce our emission, we also need to start to adapt to the changes that are happening, as we saw in my presentation. And what I want to leave you here is with a reframe of adaptation as a shared responsibility, because, as we can see, we have shared risks all over the globe. Something happening, the droughts happening in Panama because of and the disruption of the supply chain is affecting us. So it's a big risk for us. So it is important to start to think about adaptation, not just giving money or helping the vulnerability. We are all vulnerable, and we all have to do something and be responsible for adaptation in the globe and in the most vulnerable city. Because this is an investment in shared stability, prosperity, and security. This is a big call that the UN Secretary General Guterres is now asking everybody to do, and it is not just thinking about adaptation as the official development action, but something that is also contributing to our stability, prosperity, and security. Stability because climate shocks erodes institutions, they spread across borders, and they are really setting back development in every country, especially the most vulnerable. Prosperity because disruption, because in our interconnected globe, disruption that happens somewhere in the world, we are all affected, and it is affecting everywhere. And security because, as I said, climate is a threat multiplier. It is an amplifier of existing crisis, and displacement of people, displacement of a population is affecting everybody, and especially also here in Europe. So, as I said before, adaptation is not just a moral case, but is also an economic case. It is also a case for our future all over in the world, and our shared responsibility and our shared to confront our shared risks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roberta, for that presentation, for that striking truth. I saw many notes being taken, many photos being taken. I learned a few things myself. Thank you so much for reframing adaptation. Thank you for reminding of the operational risks and this shared investment. I'm going to open the floor for a few questions, maybe one in the room, one online. If anyone has a question for Roberta, or we can start online. Nothing online yet. Anyone have follow-up question? I enjoyed learning. I think I didn't know the fact about 1 degree increase is also 7% more humidity in the atmosphere. That was a good fact to learn. Questions? Do you have a question for Roberta? Yeah, Sonia, here in the front.
Sorry, thank you so much for your really valuable presentation. And I loved your reframing of investment as a shared responsibility, particularly the stability, prosperity, and security. But I was wondering, because we're going to do a panel on health afterwards, and for me, it screams health everywhere. And I wondered whether we could start mapping the deaths occurring from climate change, or because we're always talking about the planet without talking about the human impact on health. And for me, it's not just vector-borne diseases, it's also the fact that through air pollution, through floods, we are killing people. Is that something that is coming into this reframing, this shared investment, and what would that look like?
Yes. It's okay. Yeah. Okay, no, and the human aspect, of course, and the people-centered action is very important, and health, of course, is at the center of it. We try to, in our effort, to identify disasters, but also identify the consequences of these disasters in terms of economic losses and mortality. It is true that mortality for the disaster is not increasing, and this is thanks to early warning systems and preparedness and the effort that we are all putting together, because it's not just information that we provide as war meteorological information and the forecast, is how this forecast is then cascading to institutions, health institutions and communities, and we can provide clear information of what is needed to do to anticipate actions in order to prevent disasters. This is an effort that we are doing, and this is really people-centered effort. But in terms of collecting data is also another is a problem, because we don't have. I'm pretty sure in some continents we underestimate the number of deaths for each disaster. I would say we also underestimate the disasters. We are not, they are not reporting. This kind of governance is still missing, and it is a problem that we should solve, because we should have this data, but it's also very difficult. Yeah, thank you.
There's a question online, I think. Yeah.
So I have a question online from Guillaume, who says, "What you said, heat waves are a silent killer. What do you think should be done by humanitarian NGOs to document the mortality of heat waves in crisis zones?"
Yeah, I think it is important to work closely with organizations to coordinate the information. We are looking at artificial intelligence, technology, but sometimes, the information is still very fragmented, and we haven't solved that problem yet. So a better coordination with different institutions. I see a lot of working in silos, and definitely the organization of Climate Action Accelerator is one organization that's tried to work across different organizations that provide different information. This is very important. So I would say very important to have this holistic look at disaster, or holistic look at problems like climate change through organizations that are able to convene different actors, and they can exchange information, exchange data.
Okay. We'll take one last question. Yeah. Okay.
No. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm Barbara Hintermann, Director General of the Foundation Terre des Hommes, but also a member of the board of CAA. Thank you very much for your presentation. Actually, it's not a question. It's rather a reflection. I think we have to change our narrative. For us, for example, as a child protection organization, climate change is a child rights crisis. You mentioned the human part, and I think we can go, globally on the human rights part. It is really a human rights issue, and that we make that link with the climate change issues and actions and the human rights part. It's just a thought that I wanted to share.
And I agree, and I make the point that we map each indicator, each physical indicator, with the Sustainable Development Goal, and we see that how this is affecting inequality. And I feel I mean, personally, if we don't address inequality, we are not able to address climate change at the global. It is an inequality. At the end, it is an inequality problem, climate change, and it has to be solved first, the inequality, and then we can solve the climate change. Otherwise, we are stuck. An inequality, of course, of most vulnerable people, those people who are not responsible for emissions that are more affected, and gender and child and health issues. So all is about how we want to solve this problem together, but at the equal level. And I'm sorry I cannot stay here because I have another meeting, but I may come back in the evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Roberta.